Welcome back to Chronicles. We are now at the end of this chapter, amazing chapter, Mark chapter 12, and we're going to have a think about the widow's offering, which is such a wonderful and famous story, and we pick it up in verse 41. Jesus sat down opposite the place where the offerings were put and watched the crowd putting their money into the temple treasury. Many rich people threw in large amounts, but a poor widow came and put in 2 very small copper coins worth only a few pence. Calling his disciples to him, Jesus said, "Truly I tell you, this poor widow has put more into the treasury than all the others. They all gave out of their wealth, but she, out of her poverty, put in everything, all she had to live on."
I don't know about you, but I imagine a sort of NBA slam dunk competition type environment going on here, where there's like flashing lights and they're lining up one at a time.
Yeah.
There's not a crowd around the offering box. There's space, and one at a time go up so that everyone can see what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And then it's almost like every Sunday or whatever, every year, they try and outdo each other.
Yeah.
So, they're not spinning around and chucking the money behind their back.
No.
But it feels like something like that's going on.
It's a whole show, isn't it? Just cash balls being thrown in. And, you can imagine the size of the offerings that were just so heavy, and the noise they would make as they crash down into the treasury.
And a polite round of applause.
Polite round of applause, yeah. And, back in verse 35, Jesus is teaching in the temple courts. And so, he's still in this kind of area. And just the way that this is written is really interesting, isn't it? Jesus sat down and he watched. Just to imagine Jesus, David's Lord, sitting there just watching what's going on and observing what's going on here. And, the rich people are around, and I suppose it's not that there's any problem with large gifts or having money per se, but these are the same type of people we studied in our last session, aren't they?
Absolutely.
These are the ones who walk around in the flowing robes, lengthy prayers, important seats. This giving, this hypocrisy extends to their giving, doesn't it? This is for a show. This throwing, nobody needs to throw in large amounts, do they? So this is just another way in which their religion shows itself in their giving.
And it's fantastic, really. When a rabbi sat down, it was because they were about to teach, wasn't it? Particularly in the temple court.
Yes.
So here Jesus is sitting down, and his sermon begins with an illustration happening in front of him, and he waits for it to finish, and then he calls his disciples over to him. And this is just so utterly countercultural, isn't it? You would think Jesus would sit them down and go, look at these rich people. How phenomenal are they?
Generous.
Just so generous. The roof, they were raising funds for a new roof, and these people chucked in loads of money.
I know.
And then look at that woman. It's better if she wouldn't have come, really.
No.
And it's a bit embarrassing.
It's a bit embarrassing.
What's he going to do? He's going to pay for like a door handle or something. Not even that.
Not even that. And, she's... we're no better off because of her. I mean, that's the truth, isn't it?
Absolutely.
We actually are no better off.
In fact, what she's done is she's taken the space of another rich person who is bringing their cash.
Absolutely. Yeah, she's slowing us down. And it's the polar opposite of that, isn't it? I remember when I was speaking on this passage some while ago, the copper coins, I think, were lepta, which translates to something like shaving or peeling,
right?
And or because it was so small, it was just like taking a potato peeler to a bit of bronze and just peeling a little curve off, and that sort of took me up, that image, and I was imagining the rich people with sacks of potatoes, just chunking them in, and this one woman has got a vegetable peel, like a peel. We all know what a carrot peel looks like. It just hold it up to the light and you can see through it, can't you? It's so inconsequential, really. And yet she sort of feathers this vegetable peel down and worth almost nothing. And of course, this is no coincidence that it's a widow, because these religious people devour widows and they use their power to exploit them. But this is in fact the one who is going to show them what true faith is all about, according to Jesus.
Yeah, and how unbelievable is that? You know, praise God that he's like this, that he's just, he is the one who looks straight at the heart and honors the lowly. And in fact, Jesus here is doing the thing that the Pharisees should be doing, the teachers of the law should be doing. In the previous Corona, we were looking at verse 40, where Jesus says, you know, the teachers of the law, watch out for these men because they devour widows' houses. They shame and dishonor. And Jesus is doing the complete opposite. He's honoring this woman for her heart. Yeah. Not the outward show, which the teachers of the law have been all about, but for the inward, just, I mean, if you have 2 shavings and that's all you have, and you give because you're grateful and because you're sincere and you love God. Absolutely.
And that's so right, isn't it? That you cannot be putting that in for the sake of others, because it's an embarrassment. Yeah. You know, it must be for the Lord. Yeah. As you say.
And that is honoured by God. That's really what he's after here. He doesn't want, you know, what on earth could we give God? We can't, you know, £10,000, £1 million. What's he going to do with it? He's like, it's mine anyway. Well, he owns the universe. There's nothing we can give him that will please him, in a sense, other than a grateful heart that comes before him, and is pleased to honour him with what we have.
And she's a model then, isn't she, of what a true disciple is all about. So in 43, Jesus calls his disciples to him and says, this is what I mean by being a disciple. And she's something like that teacher of the law back in verse 28, isn't she, who, although very different in terms of social status and I would assume education as well, they both have grasped something, haven't they? That the law is about love, that love for God is what it's all about. Yep. And that's what she recognises, that she hasn't got much, but she can put in what she has as love, out of love for God, and therefore she's put in more than all the others. And you know, without wishing to sentimentalise it too much, that's because she has put her heart in, hasn't she? She's put her heart into it because she loves God and she trusts God. And she must trust God, because it says at the end she put in all she had to live on. Yep. Which probably doesn't mean that was in fact her life savings, but it was certainly all she had to live on that day, perhaps, or that week. Yeah. And so the only way she could have done that is if she trusted that the Lord would take care of her. Yeah. You know, because otherwise, from an earthly perspective, she's really doing herself in there, isn't she? Because Absolutely. Where's she going to get her bread and stuff? But she knows that that the daily bread will come from the Lord, and she can give.
And it's costly, you know. This costs her. The guys who come in with their rich money,
that's the thing, isn't it?
It's nothing to them.
No,
they walk away and they go back to their banquets and their holidays, and
it's
all
just
of
the
this
cream, isn't it, off the top?
Yeah. You know, so this is. It's a reflection of God's love for us, because God's love for us is costly. It cost him his son. God didn't just send, you know, a few dispensable angels to deal with us, but he came and gave himself. And I, you know, guess this is why Jesus honors this, because this reflects something of what he's come to do himself.
That's so right, isn't it? That he comes and puts in all that he has.
That's right.
You know, for us. That's really good, isn't it? And so, I mean, this is a real challenge, isn't it? You know, I find this a real challenge because, you know, it's easy to explain this sort of generosity away, isn't it? Well, of course, Jesus wouldn't want us to give all that we have, and, you know, we've got to be sensible and we've got to be prudent with our finances, and we don't want to, you know, put our families in jeopardy with this sort of giving. And there's so many plausible reasons not to be like this, isn't there? Yeah. And yet there's a danger we can just explain the application away, whereas actually Jesus is saying, no, look, if you're a true disciple, generous giving from the heart, underpinned by confidence in God to take care of you, is what I'm after.